Happy Spookies, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, having a most excellent day, and we are back with another short video. Today we're going to go ahead and cover a few movies that I've recently watched. Really quick, I want to give a shout out to the Mutant fam, particularly my buddy Rainico, who went and got me this. Thank you so fucking much. This is essentially Letterboxd, but in a physical form, and people can't really read your reviews. But it's a cool little movie log book. And with this, I've been keeping track of some of the stuff I've watched recently. Okay, let's start off with found footage. I believe it was mentioned on the found footage subreddit, and she brought it to my attention. I was like, fuck it, let's check it out. And it's called The Shredding. It was about some dude and like somebody in his family, I think, or an old relative of his, I think, something of that sort. And they were like a murderer or something like that, and he was digging into the past of this like murderer, and all of a sudden him and like the other people in the movie are being terrorized by this murderer. I don't know, it was very very uninteresting. There was a few moments, but I think, and there was like some potential there, like I think maybe with a bigger budget, a more focused plot, it could definitely have, this person could probably make a way better film. But this is probably just a let's make a movie and throw it on YouTube type of thing. I don't know. The Shredding. Okay, the next one I want to talk about was one that I watched this movie about 2 to 3 times. Mostly because I wanted to review it, and I have this weird thing when I want to review a movie. I get into the habit of watching the movie over and over. For instance, when I reviewed Stan Helsing, I might have mentioned it, but I watched Stan Helsing all week, like every day, once a week, maybe, yeah, at least once a day every week up to that initial review, because I don't know, I love Stan Helsing. Its name was Mormo. Who the fuck is Mormo? I have no idea. This is also streaming on Tubi. The director for this is Mark Andrew Bowers. He's the father in the movie. Probably his wife, his actual wife, and his actual kid. Now, really quick, let's go over the movie. This is about a family. One day they're like out and about at a picnic or something. This is also takes place in a foreign country. I don't know if it's Greek or anything. No reason I say that because this is based off a Greek mythology, which we don't even fucking know that. I had to look that up, and only because Tubi, the fucking thing tells you, like the description of it tells you it's dealing with something Greek mythology. Yeah, basically the movie's about this family. They go out and about on a picnic, and it's crazy that this husband just happens to find this chest that's like locked up, and it's got like these weird coins in it I don't know, it's got a bunch of weird bones and coins, and motherfucker takes it home and spooky things occur. And I want to give credit where it's due. I think I initially didn't like this movie, but after my second and it's like 2.5 viewings of it, I think it's passable. It's fine. I've actually seen a lot worse fucking found footage movies. Oh man, I should do a video on some of the worst found footage movies I've ever seen. I'm looking at you, Bucks County Massacre, man. After a second viewing, this movie it's okay. There's definitely potential. I feel like some of the better aspects were a couple scenes that were like, you know, practical effects, if you will. There's like a hair pulling scene, a scene where like a chest moves by itself, stuff like that. I think that was done really well. The acting from the little girl I thought was great. It felt very genuine. There were times where a little overacting, maybe especially near the end where, you know, people are just in distress. Another thing I really enjoyed about the movie was the setting. Like I said, it takes place in a foreign country. I don't think it's Greece, but it's somewhere not in America for sure. And at the end, we kind of like go into like this like cave/village area. I thought that was done really well, or looked really cool. I mean, now things I didn't really like about the movie, I don't like how it's presented. Now I get it, with the found footage movie, how are we gonna watch this footage that was found? And it's presented through a sort of like narrator/police files type of thing. It's like, it sounds like the guy from Unsolved Mysteries. We're looking at the case evidence file of the family, something like that. And it's a computer screen, and they're pulling up files and kind of just like narrating little stuff about the family, and then we go into the video footage. I don't know. I could have just done without that. Just fucking start the movie. Who cares how we are watching this found footage? You know what I mean? Like, I don't need that narrative. Another movie I like that does that sort of thing is Hollows Grove, something like that. I can't remember the name of it. It's a sort of like ghost hunting crew that go into an abandoned place. It's a decent movie. I liked it. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it at some point. I think it's called Hollows Grove. I'd have to look it up. I don't feel like doing it. Sorry. They do that sort of thing where it starts off as a presentation of like a police dude, and he's going over the footage that we are about to see. Like, bro, why are you as a police person showing this footage to the world? I don't know. That doesn't it makes more sense to just start the fucking movie and accept that we're just watching a found footage movie. There's also background music and sound effects in some scenes that will really take you out of it if you're let's say like a found footage purist, and you don't like any of that sort of stuff. It might take you out of it. The sound design though, especially near the end with like whatever the fucking Mormo is, you could hear like these weird noises. I thought that was actually really effective, especially if you're listening with headphones. So initially I checkmarked that I fucking hated it. But no, I thought it was okay. It was passable. Way better than that shredding movie. And again, I've seen a handful of just unbelievably unbearable movies that I've sat through in found footage form. Ugh. Okay, just to wrap things up, it does feel like this video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be. We are going to talk about not found footage movie, but a movie that I've seen a GIF or two for, and I just never watched it. Stephen King's Cat's Eye, yeah. But this movie was not bad. It's an anthology movie from the 80s, I believe, and it stars James Woods is in the fucking movie. Drew Barrymore is in the movie, and she's primarily in the last act, and if I recall correctly, she might be in some of the other skits, but she's definitely in the last story. And I thought it was a fine movie. I really enjoyed the first story with James Woods and him trying to quit cigarettes. And he goes to like a sort of help program. You know what that reminded me of is David Fincher's the one that made that movie? I'm gonna feel like an idiot if it's not. That movie, The Game, that came out in like the 90s with Michael Douglas. I don't know if y'all seen that. I remember watching that and I was like fucking, I don't know, 11, 12. And I liked the movie, but I just did not understand it at all. And that was probably the last time I seen that movie. First segment was James Woods trying to quit the cigarettes and stuff like that. It really did remind me of that David Fincher movie, The Game, where this company he goes to help goes to really extreme ways to help him quit cigarettes. And I really like the nod at the end where they make a joke about like, oh, if you start back up, or like they make a joke about something about now we have to quit like bad food, unhealthy food or something like that. And he makes a joke, the guy that owns the business makes a joke about, oh, we're gonna cut your wife's finger off. And the last scene is James Woods having dinner, and you can just feel like he's almost completely different person now. And the people that they're having dinner with, the wife's finger is missing, and it's just like a quick realization, like, oh shit. I watched this movie about maybe a week and a half ago. I put a little date on the 22nd. I watched this movie on the 22nd of June. I'm barely talking about it right now, and I don't really recall the second story. All I wrote for the second story was lame. I can't remember what the second story was. I remember watching it and like, this was alright. It wasn't too interesting. Fuck me. The third story was probably the best part of the whole movie because you got some cool practical effects with the monster in this story, and then you have this cat who is like the MVP of the freaking movie, dude. And it's all about this Drew Barrymore. This cat comes along, and there's like a monster in the room, and the cat is basically trying to defend her. But at the same time, you have the mom who is just like fuck this cat, get this fucking cat out of here, you know, that type of style. She does not want anything to do with the cat. I'm not gonna spoil anything for this one because I thought it was a pretty good little story right there. But the monster itself was this like ugly big nose thing with like a jester hat and a small little knife, and he's like fighting the cat. It was so cute. So I initially put 1 star for its name was Mormo, but I'm gonna go ahead and bump that up to 2 stars. We'll do 2.5 stars because after watching it a couple times, I did fairly enjoy it. The setting was good. The premise. Oh, another thing I didn't like about its name was Mormo was the fact that there was not any lore explained at all. I don't understand that. Stephen King's Cat Eye, I also did 2 stars, but those were the 3 movies that I recently watched. I feel like that's all I've really watched lately. No, I watched this other movie actually called Paper House, and it came out in the 80s, and I thought it was really good. It was about like a fantasy horror movie about some like lonely girl, and she makes up like this imaginary place. Like she draws it on a piece of paper, and that night, I think she like goes to it in her dreams, and then she draws up like a kid, and he's like there, but he's like paralyzed because she didn't draw legs for him, so he can't walk. And I don't know, there's like some horror aspects to it for sure, especially with like this like the antagonist of the movie in the dream world. But I just thought it was a really cool little movie. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. Have a great day.